Good evening, everybody. I'm here to share with you the story of Ostana, which, as Dina says, is a small village in the northwestern part of Italy. Is a village located in this position, which suffered one of the highest rates of the population in the Alps in Italy, 99.5%, from 1,200 to 5 inhabitants, due to the great period of the industrialization in Italy after the World War II, where basically all the inhabitants, especially men, moved to the city for working reason and also to find better living condition. What happens is that in the last 30 years, a bunch of inhabitants that were living in the most important city in the area, which is Torino, decided to build the dream of this village and try to reconstruct the physical village, but also the cultural village and the conditions for the new and contemporary livability. So in these 30 years, this small group of people has been able to create a system of alliances from inside and outside the valleys, join forces, and like in the presentation before, they were able to share the dream with a wider community than this very small group of people. Then what happened is that they succeeded in attract European and national and regional funds to restore the buildings, and some of the buildings are also very well known Alpine contemporary architectures. And building these public buildings, they triggered a process that also invite people to rebuild private buildings. So there was this really working well mechanism of public and private working together from the beginning of the story. Then what happened is that after 30 years, the municipality faced the fact that Ostana had a certain visibility in Italy. The media coverage was very rich, but still there was not a governance able to manage all these public buildings. So what is really special about Ostana is that the municipality in the COVID period, just before the COVID period, decided to engage the wider community of Ostana, the inhabitants, but also a wider community of professionals, entrepreneurs, friends, owners of second homes, to imagine the model of the kind of governance. And then this process that was very interesting, that really let the people that shared the dream of Ostana to take an active part, led to the definition of more or less 12 people that decided to fund in 2020, just in the middle of the worst period, the worst time of COVID emergency. They decided to fund a community cooperative, which is a kind of cooperative, very specific in Italy, where, to put it in a very simple way, inhabitants are at the same time producers and consumers of goods and services, which is different from the regular kind of cooperative, where a cooperative has a target, a social target, an entrepreneurial target. Here, the target is the construction of the local community, the empowerment of the local community, and the construction of the place in the wider sense. We are in the region of the Monviso, which is a MAB UNESCO reserve, a transnational MAB UNESCO reserve between Italy and France, where the most important river in Italy, which is the Po River, has its springs. And so we began to manage these beautiful building, which is a civic and cultural center, more or less 100 square meters. Now, after 6 years of managing from the community cooperative, hosts an auditorium, a small bistro, a library, a public library that we manage, a very important laboratory for alpine river research, a co-working space, and is like some kind of covered piazza. The name of the building is L'Opportun, and the Portun in Occitan is this kind of architecture that is basically a roof that covers different buildings. It's like the Alpine answers to the typical portici of the Italian cities. And the building is very well positioned in the fabric of the village, with this topography, the traditional architecture, and is as I said before, is a contemporary interpretation of a traditional architectural typology. Here are some activities where we, as I said, there is an auditorium where we host events and meetings. Here you can see an image where when we had the luck of having Amitav Ghosh artists in residence. A lot of contemporary art exhibition in connection with the institution in the cities. And what happened is that in these buildings, not only the Civic and Cultural Center, but also another building called Alpine Welfare Home, we try to imagine this cultural and community welfare made up of the library, the school that we reopened after 50 years, which is a school open for kids from 1 to 3 years all year long. And then school open from 12 months to 12 years, the 3 months of summer, when Italian schools are closed. So the summer school, in the beginning, we had this music school that was very successful. And then we host also a community theater called Piccolo. And one of the most important spaces, of course, is the library. Especially the library for kids, while the library for adults is specialized in alpine themes, environment, and is part of the national system of the libraries. Here is the card of the library. The idea is to see the Italy from the point of view of the Alps. There is a great discussion, a cultural discussion in Italy, because often these rural areas, alpine areas, Apennine areas are called marginal or internal. There has been a very important strategy at national level called the Strategia Nazionale delle Aree Interne. We have been, since the beginning, insisting a bit on this topic, because we don't think ourselves as marginal or internal or any kind of second level geographical position, but we think of our position as eccentric, which means that has another center, another potential, and has its own identity, not related to city. And especially now with climate change and the widening of the fork, we say in Italy, between the rich and the poor in the city, rural areas in the Alps, in the Apennines, are also space where there is a great potential for people living and working. Since it's difficult because there are not a lot of services from the state, and that's where the community cooperative can be a very interesting and innovative tools. Here you can see some images of our kids. The school is really one of the heart of our system. one of the key of this system of not only services, spaces, projects that all have the goal of the new livability of the village. Of course, often in Italy, we think of the school in the mountain as something related to outdoor, to nature. We try to explain that you don't have to choose really between the experience of nature, of learning to stay and be part of an ecosystem, and the cultural and the cultural development of the kids. That's why music, that's why the library and all the other projects we are developing. Cultural and nature are really two sides of the same method in our school. And so we also try to develop experiences in nature for other schools. There is a big problem in the Italian cities also about deficit, nature deficit is called in Italy, and a lot of young adults, teenagers and kids suffer from this lack of deep experience of staying, being part of an ecosystem. So we are trying to work about on this topic. There was a wide coverage of the reopening of the school, which is a pity because it should be normal that a small community could be able to reopen an educational space in a beautiful architecture, because really it's the base of the future society. Then, as I said, we have a project of a community theater, and we can see here there are kids, but also there is the major Giacomo, which is 83 years old, together with Amitav Ghosh, other professionals that were working with us. To say that one of the goal of this project, of this collective project, is really to mixing people that otherwise would not meet in other environment. So this Ostana residency program has been designed and imagined as a tool to welcome new inhabitants for small to medium period. And so we had different kind of artists, musician, like the Italian group Karma Klima, and as I said before, Amitav Ghosh. There is a strong attention to relate to the teenagers not as a consumers of cultural products, but as a protagonist of processes. And here with the residency of Elisabetta Percivati, which is a very well-known author of graphic novel, we designed a collection of design together with the teenagers of Ostana, the same with theater, where a local story directed by Giulietta Bernardi brought hundreds of people in a hamlet of a small village. There is a small museum. We are trying to developing nowadays experiencing nature with bikes. We participated in during the years to different European projects. And one is this UNITA rural mobility that allowed students from different universities in Italy to stay with us, to work with us, and to experience the life of a complex, even small but complex system like Ostana. And then, of course, Smart Rural, thanks to E40. Now we are working on a very ambitious project on the Po River, from the sources to the delta. Is one of the climatic hotspot now in Italy. Is the wider river in Italy, involving public libraries, artists, scientists with the relevant partners. And being at the springs make us, let's say, allow us to lead all the processes to the delta. And this is the logo and some images. We are in the process of working. the same buildings, as you said, as you saw before, host occasionally different other projects, and are somehow the space where community meet and imagine the contemporary life in the Alps. I had one more thing. In the last months, we activated a experimentation about medical services, thanks to the to Conf Cooperative Association, which was one of the two associations representing cooperatives in Italy. And we go on in working and imagining how to recreate really the conditions for living in areas where the state has not the strength to bring everything that is really needed for living. Thank you.